Hello everyone and welcome to another YachtWay Spotlight. Today I am going to take you and introduce you to the people behind Sirena Yachts here in the United States and tell you how they're conquering the US market via innovation and exploration. Come with me and let me show you around. Well, Kos, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk about Sirena. You have a unique position in the company.
Well, I don't know how unique it is. Every position in the company is unique in its own right, but my position has been a wonderfully rewarding position because I was involved with the company from the first day the company entered the US market. So it's been wonderful to see the progression of the brand in the US market and how well it's been received from yacht buyers and particularly the family of Sirena yacht owners.
When did you first come to the US?
It was 2017 actually. It was the first display of Sirena Yachts in the US. But that was really just a first presentation, so to speak. So in earnest, it was 2018. That was the first year we truly engaged, if you want, operationally in the US market.
Wow. And I mean, it has been such a short time, but now every time I go on the water, I can see a Sirena. How many Sirenas are there in the US now?
Well, believe it or not, we already have 78 Sirenas in US waters, which is an incredible number. And we're not a volume builder, but it's interesting to know that 60% of production of Sirena comes to the United States. So the volume of boats is a reflection of how popular the boats are in the US market and how well they've been received.
Correct me if I'm wrong now, but every year I see a new model coming out. How do you approach to the whole design process? Because you have a very unique way how you also build these things.
Yeah, we have an incredible team in-house, engineering-wise. A lot of people think about Turkey as maybe a non-European or non-Western country, but they would be blown away when they actually come and see what Sirena is all about. Sirena has 1,200 employees. It's a vertically integrated company, meaning that we fabricate everything in-house. So we buy all the components like every manufacturer does, from engines, electronics, generators, things like that. We all have the same suppliers, more or less. But when it comes to building the boats, everything is fabricated in-house. So furniture, flooring, teak, all the way. We buy raw teak and we make all of our teak decking. All of the leathers are processed in-house, all the upholstery. So everything is made in-house. It's a design freedom kind of thing if you want. So if you don't have to buy everything or rely on somebody else making it for you, and you're part of the creation process, it gives you a lot of design freedom.
And Sirena comes really from automotive background and then took on the challenge of building boats.
Yeah, Sirena used to be part of a very big conglomerate, and it's part of a large family of companies in Turkey. And there's a diverse involvement, if you want, in a number of different industries. Automotive is one of them, but Sirena is involved in a number of different other industries which are complementary, if you want, to what Sirena has been doing all along.
Before we even turn the cameras on, you made a very interesting point to how when Sirena starts designing boats, they very much think about the American market when they do these designs.
Absolutely, because Sirena recognized early on that the US is the largest market in the world for yachting. And so with that in mind, there was an understanding and a recognition that the yachts needed to appeal, if you want, to the American buyer. So a lot of focus and attention was paid on to what is important for the yacht owner in the US. And so we follow that. It's a design premise, if you want. When we look at existing or new models, it's always something that we think of, because as I said, 60% of boats that are built come to the US.
We had a chance, we met in Düsseldorf and we took a tour of the 48 and everybody's amazed how much space that boat has inside, including me. And now we're on board a 78 and I have to say, I've been on board a 100-footers and they don't feel as spacious. How do you guys do that?
There's no magic. It's just great design and engineering diligence at the end of the day. Smart designers, smart engineers that make that happen. When you have a certain footprint to work with in terms of your length and your beam, there's only so much that you can do. The trick is what you do, what's within that design envelope. So you have that footprint, And then it's all down to smart designers and engineers that are able to pull that off. Just like you, I was blown away by the 48. Even though I was involved in the design process to a certain degree, in terms of providing input and stuff like that, the end product was really just amazing.
You have quite a lot of customers who already own these boats. How much do you let them develop and be part of the evolution of the next products? How much advice you get from them?
Yeah, we actually call that customer design feed loop. So the feedback that comes from the customers and particularly the owners, but also anybody that we come in touch with, is taken seriously into consideration and goes back. Now, I'm not going to be here to tell you that we can take every single consideration into mind, but we try to do our best to come up with the best combination that is compelling enough for somebody to want to buy a Sirena at the end of the day.
The lineup goes from 48 all the way to 88. The people, how many people now jump from one size to another? Do they usually go up one size or do they go down in size?
Well, it would be interesting to remind that for the first 3 years of the company's life, if you want, of Sirena's life, the range was 2 models. It was the 58 and the 64, which was then eventually substituted by the 68. So that was really the range. And so the strategy of the company was to build a range that spanned, if you want, anywhere from now around the 50-foot range all the way to, let's say, 100 feet. And that takes a while to do. So we're now in a great position to have a range that appeals, if you want, to a number of different buyers based on where they are in terms of their usage, how they're going to use the boat, or their budget at the end of the day. The design philosophy is the same, but to go to your question, you asked me how much movement do we have up and down. Well, we don't have any movement down. We do have owners that have stepped down from larger yachts to our 88. Because the 88, for example, is quite unique in the sense that it offers what a 100-foot yacht offers at a different budget, so to speak. But in terms of volume and space, it's an incredible yacht. So we've seen owners that have been considering yachts in the 100-foot range and saw the 88 and were so enthused that stepped into the 88. But the progression that we see from Sirena owners is upwards, and we've regularly had owners that go from the 58 to the 64 or 58, 68. We've had an owner that went from 58, 68, 78. So we see that progression happen all the time. And the 48, with the launch of the 48 this year, we actually expect that to happen obviously more often. So 48 is the smallest boat that we built, but we built that boat to allow, if you want, buyers to enter the Sirena family at a smaller size, and then allow them the opportunity to move up over time.
Now we're in the Palm Beach Boat Show here. When people come to the stand, people who want to buy these boats, what are the key experiences that they're looking to accomplish when buying a Sirena?
We find out that most Sirena buyers are experienced boaters, and which is a great thing because it makes selling a little bit easier for us, to be honest with you, because they appreciate what they see. If you have a younger buyer, well, not in terms of age, but in terms of their boating experience, you need to spend time and educate to a certain degree what it is that somebody needs to be looking out for when they evaluate a yacht. What is beyond curb appeal in terms of, first look? There's a lot of under the surface, under the skin things that a yacht buyer needs to consider. In our case, we found that about 80% of our buyers are experienced multiple boat owners. So when they come to us because they've tried other things and they are now mature in their decision-making process. And when they come to the boats, they immediately appreciate what it is that Sirena represents as a product, as a brand, as a design philosophy. And predominantly, these are owners that want to travel, they want to discover, they want to explore.
You said a lot of it, them are experienced boaters. If a new boater comes in and wants the quality of the build, would it be easy to hop on a helm and start driving the 48 around themselves with some guidance?
I don't think it would be very difficult to do that. And of course, it all depends on which boat they're coming out of. but we have to also remember that technology has been a very good friend of the yachting industry in recent years. There's all these wonderful tools that make navigation so much easier these days and docking easier. And there's other things that are coming to market that are going to make it even easier down the road. So it has become much easier to operate boats. I will give you just a reference point that every single one of our 58s in the US is owner operated. We have a couple of boats that are, let's say, chartered, and those would have a captain, but it's only because of the charter business. But all the boats are owner operated. Jumping into 64, 68, it's about a split, maybe 50-50. At that size, the owner would prefer to have a captain. It's not always about operating the boat. It's also about, caring for the boat and worrying about the boat and stuff like that. A 68 is not very different to operate than a 58, to be honest. So, but then as you grow up in size, obviously, crew becomes more of a factor.
Now, talking about navigating the boat, you guys have made a very deliberate decision of using straight shafts. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, this is an important point that you're making, and I'd like to explain that. When you build a yacht, and the whole idea is for the yacht to travel, you want to make sure that the yacht is also serviceable. So, as you probably know, all of our yachts up to the 68 are equipped with Volvo. Volvo was the brand that introduced pod drives to the market with the IPS system. We love Volvo, but we have made a conscious decision not to equip our boats with IPS, very simply because the IPS technology requires specially trained service technicians, special tools, special parts. For a traveling yacht that goes different places, we want it to be easily serviceable. And there's people that can service, for example, if somebody hits something and the propeller needs to be swapped out, that can be done anywhere. So we want the yachts to be serviceable wherever they go, easily serviceable, without the requirement of having, specially certified technicians, again, with special tools and stuff like that.
Now, these boats, I've met some owners of Sirena, mm-hmm. and they travel these boats from north to east. They do the great loops. They go from west to east. You guys have a great dealer network also in US.
We do. We have a wonderful dealer network along the eastern seaboard, on the west coast, covering the entire west coast, and also the Great Lakes. It's a great tight-knit dealer group, very capable, very skilled in both selling, but also, most importantly, supporting the boats. And so a lot of our boats travel, actually all of our boats travel, but a lot of them travel great distances. Yesterday, I met a couple from the Great Lakes that own one of our yachts there, and they were telling me that they're on the boat 4 to 5 days a week, regardless of whether they're traveling or not, because they just enjoy spending time on board. Now, the boats are, what Sirena does, the whole premise and the whole design philosophy is to build traveling yachts. Now, along with that comes a desire to make the boats livable. So we want to maximize livability. You've talked about the 48, and your impressions were more about the interior of the boat, right? And you also made a comment about the 78, which equally impresses. But again, the whole design, the whole philosophy behind Sirena is to build a yacht that is built to travel. These are Category A yachts that are built to withstand, heavy weather. They have both active and passive safety features on board. Everything from elimination of steps, for example, wide side decks and stuff like that. We want to make the boats very livable, if you want, and we dress the boats, if you want, in a beautiful way. But this is not about just curb appeal. It's not about just walking on the boat and saying "wow." This is about stepping on the boat, being wowed by what you see, but then being able to wonderfully travel and cover distances safely with friends and family.
Now, you've gone from 48 to 88. People who are on the 88, you guys just announced that you're getting into mega yachts now.
Yes, that was recently announced, and that's a very exciting new chapter for the company.
So there's a whole new growth room still to go for current owners.
Oh yes, there's a bright future ahead for the company, and we hope we can excite everyone in the super yacht sector as much as we have done in the segment below 100 feet.
have several brands, and Sirena obviously being one of them, but you go through a big due diligence process before you pick a brand. So how do you approach that, and why did you pick Sirena?
There are so many boat brands, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that I get approached on a weekly basis, sometimes more than one a week, for a brand I've never heard of before. And it's pretty exciting because there's a lot of boats all over the world that are being produced. And we're a large enough dealership that we've gathered some attention. So I guess it's a nice way of saying that we get a lot of people approaching us. So our due diligence starts from the very beginning. I do the normal stuff. I do the Google search and I do some searching around. But we've been very fortunate at finding some amazing brands in the last few years, and Sirena is certainly one of them. Sirena is on the other side of the world, in a part of the world that I was not all that familiar with, in Turkey, in Istanbul. And I got to admit, I had some real questions about, having a boat built in a country so far away. And so I took it upon myself. My wife and I actually got to know Kaz, who's the U.S. Distributor, U.S. representative for Sirena. And he was kind enough to invite me to the factory. And hands down, the best experience ever that Karen and I have ever had. Not only because of the product and the people, but what an amazing country and what a workforce that's just unbelievable. Part of our due diligence for Sirena was we had represented brands before where they built the boat, but they didn't really build the boat. They built the boat, but they outsourced different portions of the boat. And what was so impressive about Sirena, with their background in the textile industry, they're in the automotive industry, they own the Ford manufacturing plant, the Fiat plant. They had been building boats for another Italian brand for some time, and they leveraged all their experiences from the textile industry. They're in the hospitality industry. They are very involved in the composite industry for both defense and for private usage. So they took all those experiences they had and leveraged them into building the Sirena. And the Sirena is designed by one of my heroes, who's probably one of the most preeminent and respected boat designers in the world. So I knew his reputation, and I knew he would not be involved with a company that wasn't a quality player. Herman Frères, by the way, is the designer that I hold in such high esteem. So we went to the factory. We were very impressed. The factory itself was purposely built to build these boats. And they weren't using building techniques that are very traditional, like hand laid up fiberglass. This is resin infused. They use composite products. They have their own stainless, their own upholstery. They have more engineers than I've ever seen in any boat manufacturing company, and I don't care which one it is. And they've leveraged that from the automotive industry, from the building process. So when I looked at the family, it's a family-owned business, which I love. The people are fantastically friendly and truly interested in building a quality product. With the designer, the technology of the build using resin infusion instead of hand laid up fiberglass. CE category A, the boats are built to the highest standards. And when you start looking at the boat and really truly examining the boat, the deeper you dig, the more confidence that I got out of it. So as all those things combined together, I've traveled literally all over the world, from Asia to the Middle East to Europe. I've been to boat manufacturing plants in some of the craziest places in the world, but I've never seen one done with such deliberate planning and taking the technology and utilizing it to make a great product. So I think Sirena is probably the jewel of all the due diligence I've ever done on a boat manufacturer. And they're building boats from 48 to 58, 68, 78, 88, and they have a whole another yacht line on up 30 and 40 meters. That's a whole other story.
Before we talk about your dealership, you mentioned CE category A, and people hear that a lot. And can you tell us more why it's such an important category?
Well, there's a couple things. Number one is the stability of the boat. There's very strict guidelines, the stability of the boat. one of the advantages of using composite products like Sirena does is it takes the weight aloft and brings it down low. So you go to lower center of gravity. So CE standards are very strict about this, basically the sea kindness or the safety of the boat at sea. But there's also other components to it. The through hulls, they're not plastic through hulls. They're done very, very well. They're composite or bronze through hulls. All the components of the boat having a CE category keeps it at the highest level. So it's the components, it's the safety, it's the sea kindness, and it's the engineering. And there's lots of elements to this that I'm simplifying right now, but the CE requirements are quite stringent. So when you find a boat built to that level, it's a good place to start.
What's the ratio of Category A boats in this size range?
There's very few boats that are built to CE Category A in this, I would say, segment of it. There's a lot of boats that aren't built anything close, and that doesn't mean that they're bad boats. It means that they're just built differently. This truly is a boat with the range, with the power, the plumb bow, the design of the hull, and I've had long talks with Herman Ferrers about the design of the boat itself. It gives you the range that's really important in California. We need the range. There's long distances between ports. We're not lucky like they are in Florida that every 5 miles there's another inlet and you can stop and get fuel and all those kind of things. So it's truly about an expeditionary boat that we wanted, but I think it's a modern twist on it. And I think the best compliment is in the last few years, I've been involved with Sirena since one of the first American dealers, 2017, 2018 actually. Since 2018, there's an awful lot of boats that competitors are building that look a lot like Sirena. The plumb bow, a lot of attributes that Sirena has, and what they say that the best compliment is
intimidation. Right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a great thing to begin with. I mean, I welcome that. Some of the brands that we have, we see other brands very similar to it. But if you're there first and you continue to improve quality, and that's not to say, I've been a boat dealer for a long time. There is no such thing as a perfect boat. It doesn't exist. But when you see a company making continual improvements in how they build the boats, the feedback from the customers, the feedback from the dealers, and then they listen, and you're seeing Sirena do that with their new 48. They're we just released here in Palm Beach, first time in America. That boat is definitely a reflection of the feedback they got from their 58, 68 owners. So it's great seeing that element of taking an imperfect object, right, and improving it in a way that is really something that you can measure, and measure it by the quality of it, the performance of it, where they're putting things, placement, the types of seats that we use on the boats. They've changed dramatically, and it's all customer feedback.
Now, you briefly mentioned that you were the first dealer in US really, and of course on the whole West Coast. Mm-hmm. And this is not the first brand you bring first into the US.
Yeah.
You're becoming like a visionary, especially for the West Coast. What do you think? What's so special, other than the build quality and the build process, of Sirena that attracts the people? You mentioned exploration, one thing.
Yeah, and I think the kind of cutting edge stuff, the plumb bow is kind of cool, but there's some practical stuff too that's pretty neat. On the side decks, they're covered, so you can walk forward, full visibility all the way around, which in our cruising areas from the Pacific Northwest, you want good visibility and you want a protected helm. So all of our boats come with the ability to have helms indoors and on flybridge, so you can have an indoor helm station for inclement weather, but then there's other features in the boat that really make it enjoyable in a warm Southern California environment that everybody envisions. There's great social areas. There's very distinctive social areas on the boat. The forward deck is a totally different social area. You can have different music there. You can have a whole different group of people enjoying themselves there. And on the flybridge, you could have a totally different music, atmosphere, so to speak, and the stern itself. So I think they've really concentrated on making distinctive social areas that can be shared together. You could play the same music everywhere, or you could have a totally different group at different parts of the boats, which is really unique. They use real wood, which is incredible. Beautiful teak decks, or if you choose not to have teak decks, you can have, a flexi-teak or an imitation teak. So you get options.
What are some of the biggest trips or bigger trips, longer trips that the customers have taken on with the Sirena?
Well, first of all, we represent Sirena from Seattle all the way down to Mexico. So we have offices obviously in Seattle, San Francisco, Newport Beach, San Diego, Kona, Hawaii, and then down into Mexico as well. And a lot of people don't realize the distance of just how long these distances are. It takes me 10 hours to drive from San Diego to San Francisco to our office. That's a couple days of driving. And the Pacific Ocean is, frankly, a little unforgiving. It's big waves, big ocean, beautiful, but it can be very challenging in the sea conditions. So what's been so impressive is we've literally had Sirenas from the Pacific Northwest come all the way down the coast, down into Northern California, Southern California, and on down into Mexico. Right now we've got a Sirena 88 that's cruising the Mexican Riviera, Puerto Vallarta, Zihuatanejo, Cabo San Lucas, and that boat started in San Diego. They cruised up and down the Channel Islands, got to know the boat quite well, and now they're down in Mexico, and they're going to be heading up north soon. Now that's 1,100 miles from Puerto Vallarta to San Diego. That's a long trip. So you got to have a boat that you have confidence in, that you know you're going to have a trip that is safe, and that's the big boat, the 88. But our 58s are cruising up and down the coast. Typical 58 might go over to Catalina or the Channel Islands for the weekend. It's a very comfortable boat, great boat speed, and it kind of looks like a trawler in some ways, but the distance going from Catalina back to San Diego in a Sirena 58 is about twice as fast as a traditional trawler.
So Jeff, when you're bringing new brands to California, how much of those are influenced by the people who live there and come to the office and say, you know what, I want to have something more modern, I'm looking for something new, or do they have a specific mission in their mind, what they want to do?
Well, I wish I could say that happens a lot, that people walk in and say, I'm looking for this, can you help me find it? And the truth is, most of the time you have to bring it to them. And it takes a lot of investment, takes a lot of time, energy. And I talked about the due diligence that has to happen. But we really have brought some really amazing new products to the West Coast in the last 20 years. And some have been incredibly successful. Some have been dismal failures. And that's the truth. But when you find a product frankly, like Sirena, that has such a range of sizes and can meet so many different needs, it's quite satisfying bringing a customer who maybe would have never thought about or looked at the boat, God, that looks a little different. But then once you bring them aboard it and you show them, for example, the visibility, we're on this 78, which is an incredibly unique boat, probably a true pathfinder in an expeditionary boat of its size. And we've got a client here that's flying out from California today who bought a 68, and he's going to buy a 78 today because he's looked at this boat, and the improvements, the size, the features of this boat have changed that much between that 68 and 78. And that's the exciting part, is finding, he's got a large family. He bought a 68 thinking that was going to be the boat big enough for his family. He used it for a year, figured out what he liked and didn't like, and now we're stepping into the 78. And the 78, we can change almost anything on this boat. I mean, I can change this arrangement. I can change the way this table's set up. I can pick and choose, or he can pick and choose whatever styles, colors, fabrics, materials that he wants. And that's what's really amazing about Sirena, is that Sirena will listen to how this customer is going to use the boat, and then they'll build it to that need. And that's very unusual. A lot of manufacturers build it that way, and you have a choice of maybe a couple of different colors, maybe a different flooring, but that's about it. But Sirena is unique, and it will change the layout that best fits the owner.
You have quite a lot of Sirenas now on the west coast of the United States.
Yes, we do. We're very fortunate, and the more of them that are on the water, the more recognizable the brand gets, and the more business we get. We're now we've got about 7 or 8 58s that we've sold and that are on the water all the time, almost every weekend. If you Southern California, you'll see a Sirena 58 on the water. Several 64s, which we've discontinued now. 68s, several 68s. Got another one on the way right now. An 88, which is just an amazing boat. And they're cruising up and down the whole coast of California, down into Mexico. They're incredibly, the best calling card, the best business card I could have is that 88, enjoying themselves up and down the coast. The boat's so distinctive, has great features, just an amazing calling card, the best advertisement we could have. We're moving some new boats up into Seattle, which I think is the perfect marketplace for the Sirena. We've got a 58 on its way, literally there right now, and then another 68 soon to follow in the Seattle market. And we're very excited about the potential of that market.
Something that everybody you mentioned earlier is maintenance that every boat needs. And you have service centers, not just sales centers, but you also have the aftercare.
Yes, and it's in these days, one of the most difficult things to do is to find good service help. And we're fortunate to have put a team together with literally hundreds of years of experience. And it's taken a long time to find these people. Like the rest of the world right now, finding good help, people who are willing to work with their hands, people who are willing to invest in learning, is not easy. So we have stressed and really focused on some great leadership, and we have those in a couple of different areas. In San Diego, in our what we call our flagship store, we have a boat yard there. We have a gentleman who runs that facility with over 35 years of experience, and he could build a boat, literally build a boat from the bow to the stern, electrical, mechanical. And what he's doing is we're out actually searching and trying to find young people who have an interest in working with their hands, and we're literally recruiting and training our own people. It's been one of the most challenging parts of the industry right now is finding good service people. So we've decided we're going to make our own. So we have literally gone out and found some great people, and then we just work with them. We try to inspire them. We try to teach them. We have beautiful facilities in San Diego, Newport Beach, San Francisco. We've actually established an internship program for our service, from our Mercury outboards to our inboard engines to our generators to air conditioning. And these boats are floating home. They've got every component that you've got in your house. Washer, dryer, dishwasher, appliances, hot water heaters. I mean, everything you have in your home, you've got in this boat.
Except it floats.
And it gets out in the ocean, and it's going up and down. And in your home, hopefully that's not doing that. But can you imagine in your house and your washer and dryer all of a sudden getting moved up and down and hitting a wave, So boats have to be built robustly, and they have to be built in a way that they can be worked on, accessibility, which I think Sirena does a great job. They label every single piece and part on this boat. So if you're looking for the bilge pump, or you're looking for a through hole in the engine room, it's labeled on the lid itself where it's at. The schematics are fantastic, but getting back to our service, it's probably the most challenging thing in the industry right now is finding good service people. And so we've decided through our internship program, we have 401k, we have profit sharing, we have a bonus program for our service technicians, from the person who washes the boat to the person who does the mechanical work. They're graded by the delivery at the point of delivery by the salesman who's delivering the boat to the product. And our service people are rewarded financially. And of course, we give them a big clap and applause. And we stress the importance of them in the day-to-day use of the boats. We have what we call our Jeff Brown Yachts, bow to stern, over and above warranty in the first year. So on a boat like the Sirena, in the first year, if a light bulb goes out, the owner calls us. We take care of it. When we want to do that, we want to learn the boat. We want to learn what the little issues are, the little gremlins that might be around. We want to learn them. So we do that in the first year. And then, of course, we've got the extended warranties that come with the manufacturer itself. But we pride ourselves on doing that on the larger yachts. And in that internship program, we bring those interns with us and we teach them that process from the mundane to the very difficult.
So anybody who's buying a boat, they can rest assured that their boat's going to be taken care of, because there are a lot of boats in the market, and a lot of times people don't think about it, but after sales is probably even more important than the sales itself.
Absolutely, and that leads right back to Sirena again. Sirena has more engineers in their engineering department that I've ever seen in a boat manufacturer. And I think they've taken that experience in the automotive industry and understood how important it is. So if we have a schematic electrical problem, if we want to know a part or a particular a part that we're looking for, a battery charger, an inverter, or anything else, we can then go to the factory. We've got guys here in Florida, and they've got some resources here in Florida, but we've also got the factory in Istanbul that we can get online, and we get schematics and we get support 24 hours a day, basically, for any issues that we have with the boats.
I mean, this is unplanned, but if anybody's looking for a job at the Jeff Brown Yacht Center in California or in the West Coast, I guess they can contact
Yeah,
you.
we love, if you have an interest in boating, and no matter your experience level, one of our best Mercury technicians 3 years ago used to be the best waitress at our restaurant there, and she saw what was going on in our sales docks. She became very interested in boats, and we literally started her at the very low level. She was washing boats, cleaning them. She was on time. She had good work ethics, and now 3 years later, she's a certified Mercury mechanic technician, and she's one of our best. And so, if you have an interest in it, and you truly have an interest in it, it really is a great industry. And working with your hands, it's a very satisfying industry as well.
Well, hi Ben. You've been Sirena dealer for quite some while now.
Yeah, we started in 2019 with Sirena. Yeah.
How did you come to find this brand?
Yeah. So what we do at East Coast Yacht Sales is we want to have a range of exploration, adventure style boats at East Coast Yacht Sales. So we were looking for our excursion series within East Coast Yacht Sales. So within that, we were looking for something that brought good volume, but also fit with this type of boats that we like to sell, which are boats that people can truly use, go somewhere, and go to pretty unique places. So the fact that Sirena was a Herman Ferris design, offered good versatility with a semi-displacement hull, being a boat that you can go fast or you could go slow efficiently. And so customers were able to choose their speed depending on how much time they had. And also the CE Category A offshore ratings, and all the extra effort that Sirena goes through to accomplish that high offshore rating was really a compelling offering for us. So we're really excited when we discovered Sirena.
And you said right from the get-go at Explorer boats. Can you elaborate more what people are looking for when you say Explorer boats? What are they doing with it?
Life is short. People want to go places. They want to have fun experiences. And, what you can do on a yacht like Sirena's is unbelievable, right? So you can go to Newfoundland. Our customers do a north-south routine. A lot of them do. They'll be down in Florida, Bahamas in the wintertime. They'll be up in Maine, Newport, Rhode Island, Hamptons in the summertime. It is just a very special experience, and Sirena delivers that really well.
You mentioned also before that this is not just a boat that people have, it's a summer home.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the volume that you get with these boats, it's an alternative to another home, right? And what is great with a boat versus a home is if you don't like your neighbors, you can go somewhere else, and you have just a unique a totally unique experience on a boat and a yacht than you do with a home. So it is a very special other alternative to another residence.
Sirena whole lineup has a lot of interior space. So I would imagine that people's season in Northeast is being extended from both sides.
Yeah, you've got wonderful fly bridges that you can enclose. We're sitting on a 78 right now with a semi-enclosed fly bridge as well. And with the pilot house, you can run the boat down below or up on the bridge depending on the weather. So you can extend your season up north much later than most other customers can. And then, of course, with the range and the seakeeping abilities of the boat, you bring her south for the winter time, and you get even 12 months use out of the boat. So it can be pretty special.
How do people approach usually the serviceability? You have your own service yard over there as well.
Yeah, so we have our after-sales service and whatnot. And what's great about Sirena is that there's nothing overly unique about these boats where you can't get the boat serviced anywhere, right? So they use a simple drive system, which is really compelling for us with shaft drives, giving you great reliability, really shallow draft for the size boat, which is great for the Bahamas and sticking into these really unique, small, cozy harbors as well. But then the serviceability of a simple drive system just makes the ownership experience a lot easier.
Is it a hard sell for you when a customer comes in and starts looking at this boat?
It's I get really excited about the mission that a lot of our customers have, and their missions are typically they want to go places and do things, and I think that the boat just sort of sells itself, and we just get excited about helping people deliver on that mission.
Now, you have the unique position in this whole business that you can hear the experience that people having on these these boats. What are some of the most notable ones?
It's just you get the call from the customers that are down in the Bahamas after spending time with their grandkids and whatnot, and you can just feel that week vacation just made their whole year, right? And you can just feel it in the phone or their energy that they have. And so it's really fun when they deliver on their mission that they want to do.
Usually, typically, at least in South Florida, people put maybe like 100, 150 hour tops on these boats. But the way you sound, it's like Sirenas have thousands of hours on.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the customer, right? But yeah, I mean, putting a lot of hours on these boats isn't that big of a deal, right? Because you've got that simple drive system, as we've talked about and whatnot. You have it's a commercial grade propulsion system that is hyper reliable. So putting serious hours on these boats is not a big deal.
When people look at these boats, they think, oh my God, these are going to be really hard to drive. What would you say, how easy it is for somebody who's never had a boat but really wants to extend their life to the open ocean as well?
Yeah, that was one design feature that we really appreciated that Sirena chose, which is these really wonderful full walk-around side decks. And when you couple that with a yacht controller, where you have full control of the vessel from a remote, you're virtually gaining a whole other person on board the boat. And also talk about great sight lines. You can be, whether you're nosing into to a slip or backing into a slip or whatever you're doing, having that wireless remote really makes it simple and easy to maneuver these boats. And they're well planted vessels. They don't get blown around very much. And with balanced stern thrusters, variable speeds, and shafts, it's pretty fun and easy to drive.
And by doing owner-operator, you can eliminate the crew and gives you more intimate time on board as well.
Yeah, some people want crew, some people don't want crew. It really depends on what they want to do. But it's I would say a lot of our customers with, for instance, with the 58 and what we're anticipating with the 48 likely won't have crew. And a lot of missions are, what is the biggest boat we can do without needing crew? And that 58 and 48 deliver really nicely with that.
Now, how have you seen over the last couple of years, let's say from 2019, 2020, the transition of maybe new boaters into the industry?
Yeah, no, there's been some new boaters, and for sure. And that is one of the unique things is some customers will come to us as new boaters that want to have this wonderful experience of being out on the water. And with the even with 58, as I mentioned, you can get crew quarters on that boat. So let's say you want to, for the first year or so, you want to have crew on board the boat to have you get up to speed on how to run the boat solo. You have a great spot for the crew to stay while you're on board the boat. And then as you graduate and get more comfortable, then you can start running that boat and not have to transition to another kind of boat. So the Sirenas are nice to transition from, I want to have crew starting off to get comfortable using the boat, to I got this, Mr. Captain, and we'll go on our own now. So
What would you say for people, or what advice would you give to people walking around the boat shows and looking at, hundreds of boats really out here?
Yeah.
What are the things that they should really pay attention to?
focus on your mission. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Right? And having that defined really well, because yes, there are so many boats here that one can choose from. But if you're hyper-focused on what you want to do and what components you want on board the boat, it really narrows the focus onto just a select few. If you focus on your mission, it really helps the discovery process for the right boat.
You guys are here to help people out. So if somebody comes and knows nothing about boats, I assume you guys can help them out and show them everything.
We have a lot of fun working with customers. That's the boats that we have in our industry are all very interesting and exciting, but by far the most exciting part of our industry is the people, right? Here they are looking to have these special experiences, and it's really fun to help customers get to where they want to go.
Now, Kaz was talking earlier about the massive factory.
Yes.
If somebody buys a boat, could they go with you guys and see the factory?
We love doing that, and the family that owns Sirena really goes over the top to make sure that the customers have a great experience while over in Turkey. And the factory and the facilities that they own and the control they have over production is unlike many other boat builders out there.
You're one of the dealers for Sirena Yachts.
We were one of the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you pick your brands? Because it's not you're only one brand shop.
No, so we import 5 different brands from Europe, and frankly, I kind of curate them around what I feel our market has a need for and what we personally like and stand behind. Part of buying a boat not only is liking the boat, but liking the company that stands behind it. And we feel very confident in Sirena as a company.
What is the main thing that people really like about Sirena when they come to?
Sirena for us is 2 great things combined, form and function. When someone comes to us to buy a Sirena, they love the livability, they love the functionality, the sleeping capacity, all of that's great. But when they pull into a harbor, the form and the look of the boat stands out too. It's not like pulling in your standard Sea Ray. It gets attention, it gets eyes on it, but then it has quality-backed factory and great living spaces where people can overnight in the long-range cruise.
A lot of the people I've mentioned now, exploration side. How do people explore with Sirena, especially in the Great Lakes area?
It's such a weird thing. Like everyone says the Great Lakes, and then you think lake, and you can see from one side to the other. The Great Lakes are an ocean, right? The water's rough, the range is long. West Michigan, Chicago, northern Wisconsin, all of those ports are great ports to go to that take 8, 10, 15 hours to get to. So long-range cruising, which Sirena provides, especially at low speeds, is perfect for what we do. And then the comfort of being able to stay overnight. Our smallest boat's 48 feet with 3 staterooms. To be able to take the whole family and have a week-long adventure is pretty awesome.
So, anything bigger than 58 in your area is probably tougher, but now the new model, the 48, that must be piquing a lot of interest in people.
The 48's a home run. I've pushed for so long to get a smaller Sirena built, and it's finally here. The attention that it's got is great. The 48 in general is unlike any other 48 on the market. Like it feels when you walk in like it's a 60-foot boat, and it still has those Sirena roots of really good functionality in the cabin and still really good performance in heavy seas.
Yeah, we were on board the 48, and it has a full beam owner's cabin. Never seen such thing.
That you can stand up in, and it has a flat floor. It's so rare. And people, yesterday was the first day of Palm Beach show, and we walked people through, and we asked them before telling them it's a 48, we're like, what are we on? And they're like, oh, this is a 55 to a 60. Well, it's actually a 48. So they knocked it out of the park. And when they come out with the coupe version in a year, it's only going to continue to grow the brand.
What is the type of customer that comes and wants to buy a Sirena? What's their main goal when they come into the door?
So the boating industry in general has changed. Like, this is my 20th year in it, and we came out of a cruisers market where people wanted to go long range and travel, and then we have grown the day boat side in a massive way. Sirena is still for those people that want to cruise, that want to adventure travel, that want to go from Chicago to Mackinac Island with their family for a week. Those people are still out there, and Sirena is the perfect fit for them, and there's not many other brands that compete with them.
What's cool about Sirena is, I mean, a lot of brands have big dealer network. Sirena is semi-unique because it only has really 3-4 dealers in the whole United States. How do you guys get along? Because this is a long cruising boat, so customers need to hop on different dealers maybe for support.
And they do that. And honestly, the dealer network is just as important as the company who builds the boat, right? Because at the end of the day, we're the ones that's supporting the product. And there's no secret to boats. Every single boat on the planet breaks, something goes wrong. And the dealer network behind it to service it, to keep people in the water is just as important. So our small, niche, tight network of people is perfect for what we like to do. We're not out, Sirena as a company is not out to overpopulate the market. Because when you overpopulate the market, it's good at first and everyone's excited, but it draws down long range value, right? Sirena puts out just enough boats where they're still exclusive. It's a product people get into that they feel special about, and they should, to be honest with you.
And when we spoke with Cause, majority of their boats built for US market, and they really designed them with American market in mind. How much advice do you get from your customers to then implement into the future products?
Feedback's massive for us from our customer base. We've delivered 11 58s in the Great Lakes in a 3-year period, which is a significant amount. But the product's always evolving based on customer feedback. Because at the end of the day, the builders and designers, they do a great job of predicting what a product will look like. But the end user is really the person who's going to modify the product over time. And the great thing about Sirena is they listen. Not many manufacturers listen.
Something unique about Sirena, you have a lot of different brands. Most of the brands tend to use the IPS propulsion system.
Correct.
Sirena has straight shafts. When your customers compare that with the pod systems, do they steer away in the beginning, or what's the general feedback?
I think you also have to look at the direction in which the buyer that buys a Sirena comes from, right? A traditional boater, a long-range boater, has no problem with shafts because they know how to operate. A day boater is someone who wants to leave their house or condo and have a joystick and kind of bop around. A traditional long-range boater who knows the maintenance is less on shafts, the fuel efficiency can be better at lower speeds, and knows how to operate a boat, they don't think twice about it. They actually prefer it, to be honest with you. And when Volvo came out with their integrated joystick for inboards, it just sealed the deal for us, because now you have a company who does everything from joystick to transmission to shaft, and it far exceeded anything else that's out there.
Do you see most of the people who buy Sirenas, are they experienced boaters, or do you see newcomers coming to the market?
That's a great question. And typically what I would say is it's experienced boaters. But in the last year, we've had an influx, and maybe it's just our brand, of a younger generation, a sub 50-year-old boater who comes in and wants to enjoy it. So we have a couple guys in Chicago that are under 40 years old that own 58s. And we have a couple of old salts that came out of sailboats that put 400 hours on a year. So it's been a nice range to see new boaters come into the market and old boaters, which is a testament to Sirena's design, because they hit both markets.
How many of your customers jump from one Sirena to another now with
range
expanding?
Repeat business and customer retention is huge, right? Like, it's very hard to introduce yourself to someone and have them put enough faith in a brand and a company and a dealership to buy one boat. But once they do, if you take care of them the right way, the second boat's so much easier. So we've had 2 or 3 that have upgraded already, and that's only going to continue to happen. The 48, frankly, is kind of the perfect product for that. It is for lack of a better term, it is the gateway drug to Sirena, right? It gets you in the door, it lets you understand the brand, and it's only going to build the remaining part of the fleet from there.
From all the Sirenas that you have now in the Great Lakes area, what are some of the coolest stories, exploration stories you've heard?
We've had a great one. Actually, our last one came down to Florida. So he picked the boat up. He took it from us in June. He used it all around the Great Lakes. I mean, he was all over the place. And then he had a captain take it south. And the nice thing, it's a 58. The nice thing about it is he did it with a hydraulic mast and hydraulic bimini. So it's the perfect north-south great loop style boat, because he doesn't have to take anything apart to go into the bridges.
It's the coupe style.
No, it's actually a full fly bridge.
Wow.
So you get the entire space that's on a fly bridge, but in 2 button presses, the mast folds down and the bimini folds down, and you can get under the bridges. So for the internal river system, for the true adventurer who wants to do the Great Loop, it's the perfect model.
This video is brought to you by YachtWay. If you're looking to buy a modern yacht, then visit yachtway.com. Platform made for the 21st century. And these are the boats recently listed for sale around the world. Didn't find what you're looking for? YachtWay will connect you with an authorized dealer near you and get you on board the best looking boat on the water. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, then hit the like button down below. And if you have any comments, suggestions, or recommendations, then write them down in the comment section below. And of course, we'll see you on the next one.